Over 60 drink beet juice for one simple reason. They believe it's helping their health, better blood flow, more energy, heart support, and on its own, beet juice can be beneficial. But here's what almost no one tells you. After a certain age, beet juice becomes very sensitive to what you combine it with. When paired with the wrong foods, even ones that seem healthy, it can quietly cause problems instead of benefits. And the tricky part? You won't notice it right away. There's no strong taste, no immediate reaction, and no clear warning signs. So it's easy to miss what's really happening inside your body. Many seniors drink beet juice to improve circulation, but unknowingly mix it in ways that may stress the kidneys, affect blood pressure, raise blood sugar, or interfere with medications. And these mistakes are more common than you think. They're often shared online and included in healthy smoothie recipes, without considering how the body changes after 60. So if you're drinking beet juice with meals, adding it to smoothies, or taking it with supplements or medications, you need to hear this. Because the issue isn't beet juice, it's how it's used. In this video, we'll go through 7 foods you should avoid pairing with beet juice after 60. Chances are, at least one is something you already use. This isn't about cutting it out, it's about using it correctly. Before we begin, I'd love to hear from you, and I personally read every comment. How old are you, and where are you watching from? Let me know below. Now, let's get started. The foods on this list range from mild issues to more serious concerns. The first one isn't dangerous, but it's a common mistake many people don't realize. Let's start with this. Item number 1, milk. This is often seen as a healthy pairing, but when combined with beet juice after 60, it may not work the way you expect. Because milk feels safe, familiar, even supportive. Some people mix beet juice into milk-based smoothies. Others drink milk shortly after beet juice, especially at breakfast, and nothing seems wrong afterward. That's exactly why this mistake sticks. Here's what actually happens. Beet juice contains natural compounds that the body needs to process efficiently. Milk, on the other hand, delivers a heavy calcium load. When these arrive together, especially in older bodies, the absorption process can slow down and compete instead of working smoothly. Instead of nutrients being handled cleanly, they can bind or linger longer than intended. After 60, this matters more than it used to. Kidney filtration naturally becomes less efficient with age. The body is still capable, but it's less forgiving of combinations that create unnecessary processing work. When mineral-heavy drinks are paired poorly, the kidneys have to work harder to separate and manage what should have been handled easily. Not in everyone, not immediately, but over time as a habit. That's the key distinction. Milk on its own is fine. Beet juice on its own can be helpful. But together, as a regular pairing, they interfere more than they support. This isn't the worst combination on the list, but it's one of the most repeated. And that's why it deserves attention. Because if something this common can quietly reduce the benefit of beet juice, the next combinations, ones that affect blood pressure, blood sugar, and medication timing, carry much higher consequences. Let's move to the second food. This is where the risks stop being subtle. Item number 2, spinach. This second one is more serious than the first, but in a different way. Milk interfered. This one adds load. The food is spinach. Spinach and beet juice are often combined because both are seen as healthy. But they share something most people never think about. Oxalates. Oxalates aren't dangerous on their own. The body can usually manage them. The problem starts when they stack. Beets are high in oxalates. Spinach is also high in oxalates. When they're consumed together, especially as juice, the concentration rises quickly. After 60, this matters more. Kidney filtration doesn't usually stop working, but it becomes less flexible. It clears heavy compound loads more slowly, especially when they arrive all at once. For people who are prone to kidney stones, dehydration, or already eat other high oxalate foods, this combination can quietly increase risk over time. Not suddenly, not in everyone, but as a habit. That's why this ranks higher than milk. Spinach on its own can be fine. Beet juice on its own can be helpful, but combining them frequently adds a burden some bodies don't clear efficiently anymore. And now the list takes a sharper turn. Because the next item doesn't just affect filtering or buildup, it interferes with how your blood pressure and circulation respond. That's where the risks stop being subtle. Item number 3, bacon. This is where the risk shifts in a noticeable way. The first 2 items affected how the body handles beet juice. This one affects how the body regulates itself afterward. On its own, bacon is just a salty, processed food. Beet juice on its own can support circulation. The issue shows up when they're consumed close together. Beet juice increases compounds that encourage blood vessels to relax and improve flow. Bacon brings in high sodium and preservatives that increase fluid retention and place pressure on blood vessel walls. Individually, the body can adjust. After 60, that adjustment becomes less flexible. Blood pressure regulation relies on smooth, coordinated responses. When foods that influence circulation in different ways arrive at the same time, the system has to work harder to maintain balance. For some people, that shows up as lightheadedness or pressure fluctuations, or a general feeling of being off after eating. Not because either food is toxic, but because regulation is being strained. This is why this ranks higher than spinach. Spinach creates gradual load. This combination can create short-term instability. That instability matters more with age, especially for people already managing blood pressure or cardiovascular sensitivity. This isn't about avoiding bacon forever, and it's not about one meal. It's about not pairing a circulation-supporting drink with a high-sodium, processed food that forces the body to counteract itself. And now the list moves into even more sensitive territory. Because the next item doesn't just affect circulation signals. It interferes with blood sugar control, which can influence energy, fatigue, and long-term metabolic balance. That's where the risks become harder to ignore. Item 4. Banana. This next one doesn't feel dangerous in the usual sense. That's what makes it easy to miss. The fourth food to avoid combining with beet juice after 60 is banana. Bananas are familiar, soft, easy to digest. Many people add them to beet juice to improve taste or texture, or eat one alongside it without a second thought. The issue isn't the banana itself. It's how fast sugar enters the bloodstream when both are taken together. Beet juice already delivers natural sugars in liquid form, which are absorbed quickly. When banana is added, especially blended, the body receives a second fast-digesting carbohydrate almost at the same time. After 60, that timing matters. Insulin still works, but it responds more slowly and less precisely. When sugar arrives too quickly, the body can overshoot its response. Blood sugar rises fast, then drops faster than expected. For some people, that shows up as sudden fatigue after feeling briefly energized, or a heavy or sluggish feeling an hour later, or difficulty concentrating or staying steady. Not dramatic, but noticeable. This isn't about one smoothie causing damage. It's about repeating a pattern that keeps pushing blood sugar up and down instead of letting it rise and settle gradually. That's why this combination deserves caution. Bananas are better paired with fiber or protein. Beet juice is better taken on its own or with slower companions. Together, they remove the body's natural brakes. And now we're moving into combinations that require even more care. Because the next item doesn't just affect sugar or circulation. It involves substances the body must process through the liver and nervous system, where mistakes matter more. That's where timing becomes critical. But before we continue, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Senior Revival, where simple changes for seniors can lead to a powerful, healthy comeback. Item number 5, alcohol. This next one requires a different level of attention. The fifth thing to be careful combining with beet juice after 60 is alcohol. Not because either one is automatically harmful, but because of how the body prioritizes processing when both are present. Beet juice supports circulation by influencing how blood vessels respond. Alcohol also affects circulation, but it does so while engaging the nervous system and placing a direct workload on the liver. When these overlap, the body has to make choices. The liver always gives alcohol priority. While it's busy breaking that down, other compounds are processed more slowly. That doesn't mean something toxic builds up. It means timing becomes less forgiving. At the same time, alcohol slightly dulls the nervous system's ability to regulate balance and blood pressure. When paired with something that already affects circulation, the system has less room to self-correct. For some people, this can show up as feeling unusually lightheaded or slower recovery after standing, or a general sense of being off balance. Not dramatic, but noticeable. This is why timing matters. Drinking beet juice close to alcohol, whether in the same meal or within a short window, reduces the body's ability to manage both smoothly. For older adults, that reduced margin matters more than it used to. This doesn't mean beet juice and alcohol can never exist in the same day. It means they shouldn't overlap. Let's talk about that next. Item number 6, blood pressure medication. This item is different from everything else on the list, because here, the issue isn't food interaction. It's timing with medication. If you take medication specifically meant to lower blood pressure, beet juice needs extra consideration. Here's why. Beet juice naturally supports blood flow by encouraging blood vessels to relax. Many blood pressure medications are designed to lower pressure through a similar end result. Less resistance in the vessels, easier flow. When beet juice and pressure-lowering medication are taken around the same time, their effects can overlap. Not in a dramatic way, but in a way the body doesn't always expect. Instead of blood pressure lowering gradually and stabilizing, it can dip too quickly or too far for that moment, especially when standing up, walking, or changing position. For older adults, that matters. After 60, the body's ability to correct sudden drops in pressure is slower. That's why some people experience brief blurred vision or weakness in the legs or a feeling of unsteadiness that seems to come out of nowhere. These aren't rare sensations, but timing makes them more likely. This is what makes this item the most important on the list. Food combinations may reduce benefits or add long-term stress. Medication timing can affect safety and confidence in movement right away. That doesn't mean beet juice is off limits if you take blood pressure medication. It means spacing is protective. Most problems arise when beet juice is taken at the same time or very close to medication rather than hours apart. Giving the body time to respond to one before introducing the other preserves stability. And this is exactly why awareness matters, because many people start beet juice to support circulation without realizing that, with medication involved, how and when matters more than the juice itself. Now let's move to the most dangerous food on this list. Item number 7, bran cereal. This final item doesn't cause a sudden reaction. That's why it's often missed. Bran is usually eaten for a good reason: digestion, regularity, heart health. Many seniors eat it daily, often in the morning, and that's where the issue appears. Bran is extremely high in insoluble fiber. Its job is to move things through the digestive system quickly. That's helpful for digestion, but it also means it can trap and carry nutrients away before they're absorbed. When beet juice is consumed with bran cereal, much of what you're drinking may pass through the system without being fully utilized. In other words, the juice doesn't have time to do what you took it for. After 60, absorption efficiency already declines slightly. The stomach produces less acid, digestion slows, and nutrient uptake becomes more timing dependent. Adding a high-fiber food at the same time can further reduce how much benefit you actually receive. This doesn't usually cause discomfort. It doesn't cause dizziness, and it doesn't raise alarms. It simply makes beet juice less effective over time. That's why this item belongs at the end of the list. Not because it's dangerous in the dramatic sense, but because it quietly cancels out the very reason people drink beet juice in the first place. Bran cereal is best eaten on its own. Beet juice works better when it's given space. And once you understand that principle, spacing, simplicity, and timing, beet juice becomes predictable again instead of frustrating. That's the real lesson behind this entire list. Now, here's what many people miss. After hearing this, it's easy to think beet juice is something to avoid, or that it's only safe if used perfectly. That's not the message. Beet juice isn't the problem. Blind combinations are. When used on its own, or spaced properly from certain foods and medications, most people tolerate it well. The body responds to it in a predictable way. Problems start when it's treated like just another ingredient mixed into smoothies or meals without thinking about timing. This matters more after 60, when the body responds better to balance and spacing. Here are a few simple principles. First, think in terms of timing. Beet juice works best when it's not competing with heavy meals or medications. Second, keep it simple. It doesn't need multiple ingredients to be effective. Third, pay attention to how you feel, not just right away, but later. Feeling lightheaded, tired, or off can be a sign something didn't combine well. Finally, consistency matters more than large amounts. Smaller, regular use is often better. This isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. Used the right way, beet juice becomes helpful again, not risky. If this changed how you see it, let me know. Which one surprised you most? We're building a community here to support your strong, healthy comeback. If this helped you, I'd truly appreciate a like, and if you subscribe. Also share it with someone you love. And join me in the next video for another simple step toward better health.